The spokesperson for MTN on the line, Chris Maraleng. Chris, thank you for joining us. Have there been any developments on negotiations around the fine today?
Good evening, Francis. I can report that we are still engaged with authorities in Nigeria in the interest of finding a resolution to the crisis. And as we have pointed out on the Johannesburg Stock Exchanges, a news service sent when there is a material update to our engagement in relation to the fine that has been levied against us in Nigeria, we will update the market.
There are reports that you're seeking to reduce that fine by up to 80%. Can you comment on that?
Well, as you can imagine, these are sensitive engagements that are going on with authorities in Nigeria, and we would be speaking out of line if we gave further insight onto unsubstantiated and unagreed upon engagements that we are currently engaged with. I think it's important, Francis, at this stage for me to reiterate the fact, as we have cautioned those interested in MTN not to be subject to the rampant speculation that has affected and caused significant damage to the value of MTN. And we would also advise such interested parties to wait for information emanating from the company in relation to events in Nigeria.
Chris, surely when MTN doesn't want to talk to the media, that certainly happened in the first few days, you encourage speculation, because this is a matter that not only affects those investors, but many South Africans who want to believe in companies here, many investors, some who are customers, some who even have an emotional stake in MTN. Surely you show us more, you need to show us more respect. We need information from MTN.
You know, Francis, we take note of some of the views that would have expected MTN to communicate at least more proactively and more timely in relation to material information concerning the fine in Nigeria. However, I would remind you that MTN has required by its listing on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange and, of course, its compliance with provisions put forward by the Financial Services Board, cannot willy-nilly communicate material information without recourse to proper channels. And this is what we have done as MTN. It's important to note that going forward, as a means to provide more proactive information relating to Nigeria, that MTN has set up systems where we provide updates and new information as and when it occurs through the Johannesburg Stock Exchange news service.
Sure, Chris, but I don't understand how this specific issue could affect investment or could affect those negotiations. What is the explanation, the very simple explanation, for why MTN failed to comply with what the Nigerian authorities had said and failed to cut off those SIMs in time? Well,
the matter that you're referring to relates to the timing of the disconnection of 5.1 million subscribers who in actual fact terminated from our network in August and September 2015. The matter that we are currently faced with, where the NCC has indicated a fine of $5.2 billion really has been subject to engagement with the very authorities in Nigeria. And it is our view that we were in the midst of these negotiations around how we could arrive at full compliance when the decision was eventually put out, indicating that a fine would be levied against us.
Chris, I didn't hear a very simple explanation there. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but hopefully you will stick to what you've said and be more transparent in future. Chris Maraleng from MTN.